Bujumbura, Burundi. Kigali, Rwanda. Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Nairobi, Kenya. And Kampala, Uganda. These 5 capitals of East Africa have in the recent past enjoyed relative tranquility and experienced astronomical structural developments arising out of the cordial and mutual collaboration between partner states. This follows the revival of the East African Community integration that subsequently led to the ratification of the East African Community Protocol on Cooperation in Defense Affairs. The objectives of the protocol were to develop, promote, and pursue policies and programs aimed at widening and deepening cooperation among the partner states in defense affairs for their mutual benefits. High on the agenda was the promotion of peace, security, stability, and good neighborliness among partner states in order to guarantee the protection and preservation of life and property, the well-being of the people in the community and their environment, as well as the creation of conditions conducive to sustainable development, among others. In order to achieve these objectives, emphasis was put on joint operations, military training, technical cooperation, and visits and exchange of information. Following the revival of the EAC and the need by the defense sector to achieve its mission, the East African Community Military Games and Cultural Event was initiated and supported to take place amongst the EAC partner states' militaries on an annual basis. The first edition of the event took place in 2005 and was hosted by Uganda People's Defense Forces in Kampala. In this event, the militaries of Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania participated in football, handball for men, netball, cross-country races for men and women, basketball, and boxing. During the tournament, a day was set aside for each country to showcase their cultural heritage. At the end of the tournament, Tanzania's TPDF emerged overall winners, followed by Kenya's KDF. UPDF came third. The second edition of the EAC Military Games and Cultural Event took place in Nairobi, Kenya in 2006 and was won by Kenya, followed by Tanzania and Uganda respectively. From the 20th to 29th May 2007, the third edition of the EAC Military Games and Cultural Event was held in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The hosts, TPDF, took the netball and handball trophies, while Kenya excelled in cross-country and football. Uganda took the boxing trophy. In 2008, Uganda hosted the event for the second time in Kampala. This fourth edition of the EAC Military Games and Cultural Event was this time won by Uganda. It is at this time that Rwanda and Burundi joined the tournament to bring the total number of participating countries to 5. Subsequently, the tournament rotated to Rwanda in 2009, Burundi in 2011, Kenya in 2013, and Zanzibar, Tanzania in 2014.
Jamii moja hatima moja kupitia michezo ya majeshi na utamaduni 2015. One people, one destiny.
2015. Uganda is once again hosting the East African Community Military Games and Cultural Event. The 9th edition of the EAC Military Games under the theme One People, One Destiny through EAC Military Games and Cultural Events 2015 was held in Uganda's capital city, Kampala. The opening ceremony, which was held at Nambole National Stadium on 16th August 2015, kicked off with a parade mounted by participants from all 5 partner states. The Vice President of Uganda, Honorable Edward Chiwanuka Sekandi, was the chief guest. The ceremony was also braced by Ministers of Defense of EAC partner states, namely General J.J. Odongo, Ugandan Minister of State for Defense, Racheli Amamo, Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Defense, Emmanuel Ntahomuvutiye, Burundi's Minister of Defense, and the Deputy Secretary General of the East African Community in charge of Political Federation, Charles Njoroge. Rwanda's ambassador to Uganda, Major General Frank Mugambage, represented the Rwandan Minister of Defense, while the Tanzanian High Commissioner to Uganda, Dr. Kamba, represented the Tanzanian Minister of Defense. Chiefs of Defense Forces, Defense Attachés, Ambassadors, EAC Defense Liaison Officers, Members of Parliament of the East African Legislative Assembly and Uganda, and a visiting delegation of officers from the Zimbabwe Senior Command and Staff College were among the many other dignitaries present. The opening remarks at the ceremony were by the Chairman Organizing Committee, Brigadier Moses Rachitarate.
On behalf of the Organizing Committee, East African Military Games and Culture Event 2015, I'd like to welcome you all to Nambole Nelson Mandela Stadium.
On his part, the UPDF Chief of Defense Forces General Katumba Wamala observed that cooperation in defense among the EAC partner states was fundamental, now that the region is faced with the threat of terrorism among the other security-related challenges. He also reiterated the event's core objective.
The East African Games and Culture Events are organized in the spirit of brotherhood and friendship. They are geared towards enhancing solidarity and promotion of mutual cooperation among the East African partner states armed forces. The games encourage physical education, sports, and interaction of the diverse and rich cultures within the region.
In his address, the Deputy Secretary General of the East African Community in charge of Political Federation, Honorable Charles Njoroge, had this observation to make.
On behalf of the East Africa community, I wish to thank you and the government and the people of Uganda for the warm hospitality and excellent facilities that have been put at the disposal of our defense forces to stage these games and cultural activities.
Uganda's Minister of State for Defense, retired General J.J. Odongo, urged participants to exploit this opportunity and explore Uganda's silent treasure.
So I would like to encourage you, the participants, to take the advantage of the friendly Ugandan people, so that when you go back to Kenya, to Tanzania, to Burundi, to Rwanda, you have a story to say about the friendly people of Uganda.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to observe that the defense sector has made great strides in realization of East African community integration through the successful implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Defense and Intervention made to actualize the defense protocol. It is now my pleasure to officially declare The 9th edition of East African Military Games and Cultural Events officially opened. Thank you very much.
To qualify the cultural aspect of the event, the ceremony was punctuated by entertainment and performances from several cultural groups. Among them was the Mahani Skating Club, UPDF Land Forces Cultural Troupe, Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence Cultural Group, and the UPDF Acrobats team.
Every time I see somebody, give me butterflies.
Renowned Uganda reggae artist Ragga D thrilled the crowd with a performance of the event theme song entitled Military Mix. After the opening ceremony, the tournament kicked off with an exciting curtain-raiser football match between two teams of amputees from the UPDF Chieftaincy of Mubende Rehabilitation Center, CMRC, which ended 1-0. The main game of the day was the football match between UPDF Simba FC from Uganda and Burundi's Muzinga Football Club. For the first time in the history of this tournament, the events during this period were telecast live throughout the EAC countries by Azam TV. At the end of the 90 minutes, the score was 2 goals each. Later in the evening, the UPDF, together with Ministry of Defense, hosted its VIPs to a sumptuous dinner at the prestigious Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort Hotel.
Thank you very much for coming for this humble dinner. We thought it was necessary for us to get together before we depart to rest as we prepare for the activities of the rest of the week that we will be together under the 9th edition of the East African Community Military Games and Cultural Event.
One people, one destiny.
Day 2 of the event was action-packed with 2 football matches played at Mandela National Stadium, Nambole, 2 netball and 2 handball matches at Uganda Christian University in Mukono, and 2 basketball games at Lugogo MTN Arena. At Nambole Stadium, it was a dull start as Kenya's Ulinzi FC and Rwanda's APR FC registered a goalless draw. The second match that followed saw UPDF Simba FC register a second consecutive tie when they were held to a 1-1 draw by Tanzania. At Uganda Christian University Mukono, Uganda started the netball game on a high note when they walloped Rwanda 77-10.
Kupitia michezo ya majeshi na utamaduni 2015, one people, one destiny.
The other game between Tanzania and Burundi ended in favor of Tanzania with 95-6.
Ya karibia ndugu zangu, ni mchezo baina ya wanajeshi wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Tanzania anatumia mabavu kweli, mabavu. Burundi wanajaribu kurejea mchezoni, lakini naona Tanzania anacheza ni kama ako mazoezini.
In handball, the host Uganda succumbed to the Rwandan side when they narrowly lost the competitive game by only 2 goals. The game ended 26-28 in favor of Rwanda.
Kupitia michezo ya majeshi na utamaduni 2015, one people, one destiny.
In another game that was played between Tanzania and Burundi, Tanzania emerged winners with 31 goals against Burundi's 28. Meanwhile, at the Lugogo MTN basketball arena, UPDF Tomahawks succumbed to visiting Rwanda's RDF team in a nail-biting opening basketball game. The game started on a high note with both teams at a tie of 12 by the end of the first quarter. RDF maintained a steady momentum, though UPDF stayed very close, and by the end of the second quarter, RDF was in the lead with 23 baskets against 21 for the host, UPDF. At the final blow of the whistle, Rwanda had 54 baskets against Uganda's 52. Meanwhile, the Tanzanian basketball team also lost to Kenya's Ulinzi Warriors in the second game of the day, which ended 65-64. Tanzania put a very impressive show at the start with a 19-13 score by the end of the first quarter, 35-29 at the end of the second, and 52-47 at the end of the third quarter. Day 3 of the tournament saw the beautiful game of football played during the 9th edition of the EAC Military Games at Mandela National Stadium, where some spectacular performances from both the Kenya Defence Forces and Burundi Army were exhibited. Some lethal defending from Burundi in the 18-yard box gifted KDF's left footer Kevin Amwanyi with a fine strong low shot that ended in the Burundi net to register KDF's first goal. As the match progressed into the second half, the Burundi central defense continuously looked shaky and failed to clear a couple of crosses from KDF's wingers. This once again exposed the Burundi defense to John Makwata, who slid a low ball past Burundi's goalkeeper, creating the second goal in the 38th minute. Kenya's third goal by Evans Amwaka came in the 76th minute after he picked another poorly defended high ball from the Burundi defense that beat the goalkeeper. The next game between Rwanda and Tanzania was largely a balanced one throughout the first half until the 35th minute, when a Tanzanian defender fouled skipper Eric Rutanga in the box, leading to a penalty. Rutanga made no mistake with the penalty shot and sent the Tanzanian goalkeeper the wrong side for his first goal. Tanzania came out strongly in the second half of the game, but often shot wide, and their long passes were often intercepted by the fragile Rwandese. In the 71st minute of the game, a defensive error between the Tanzanian central back and his goalkeeper swiftly created a chance for Rwandi's Eric Rutanga to steal the ball, which he slotted into the Tanzanian net with ease for his second goal of the day. In the 88th minute, a foul by the Rwandese just outside their 18-yard box earned the Tanzanians a free kick, which Michael Aidan cleverly converted with a strong center shot. In netball, UPDF's team continued its winning formula when they humbled the Kenyan side by 33-18. In another game, the defending champions Tanzania proved their worth when they defeated Rwanda 59-16. In handball, between Uganda and Kenya, Uganda managed to overcome the previous defeat by Rwanda to win their next game by 32-31. In another game played the same day in the afternoon, Tanzania maintained its winning formula by defeating Rwanda by 27 goals to 25. In the evening at Lugogo MTN Arena, Uganda's UPDF Tomahawks displayed a great skill of resilience when they met Kenya's Ulinzi Warriors in their second basketball game. Having lost their opening game in a nail-biting encounter against Rwanda's RDF the previous day, coach Sam Bwahwayo came determined to ensure the hosts regain confidence. By the final whistle, UPDF's Tomahawks had managed to net 65 baskets against Ulinzi's 54. Meanwhile, in an earlier game, Burundi's efforts of securing an early victory was stopped by Tanzanians, who recovered from their opening game loss to Kenya's Ulinzi Warriors the previous day. Mwalimu Keri recovered from his previous day muscle pull injury to blend in well with Baraka Sadiq, helping the team maintain a steady early lead in the game. Super-fast Muzinga dribblers Akiziman John and Biamungu Shaban put a stiff resistance and kept bridging the wide gap in the scores, but Tanzania remained steadfast, maintaining their lead throughout the game, ending in 74-63 win. Day 4 of the event was a retreat to the Mayor's Garden in the eastern town of Jinja, where the East African Community Military Games cross-country competition was held.
We took these games to Jinja to let our people of Jinja also to participate and also to show our comrades the beautiful countryside of our country.
At the Gardens, the 12-kilometer race for men was flagged off by Eric Sakwa, the Deputy Resident District Commissioner for Jinja. The race was won by Geoffrey Kiruyi in 35 minutes and 48.76 seconds, followed by Kiplimo Kimutai in 35 minutes 51.27 seconds. The third was Stephen Arita in 35 minutes and 56 seconds. All the gold, silver and bronze medals went to the Kenyans in the men's races.
There they go. Let's cheer them as they pass in front of us.
The 8-kilometer race for women was won by Perin Ngampi, followed by Sela Jepleting. Doris Changeyo came third. Still, gold, silver and bronze went to the Kenya Defence Forces in the women's race. Day 5 of the event was back in Kampala, where a football match between Rwanda and Burundi was held at Mandela National Stadium. RDF scored first in the 25th minute through their dangerous marksman, Mugungi Banabe. The Muzinga Stars later equalized in the 47th minute and scored another through a header in the 62nd minute to lead the scoreline. RDF leveled the scores in the 66th minute with the stewardship of Mugenzi Bienvenve. RDF's third and winning goal came through their goal grabber, Bijirimana Isa, in the 70th minute, as a result of a poorly cleared ball from the Muzinga Stars. On the same day in Mukono, it was netball, Burundi versus Kenya. After the previous defeat in their first match, KDF's Ulinzi netball team bounced back to humiliate Burundi by 87-12. The Ulinzi girls, who were in high spirits, seemed very prepared for the whole game as they took on their opponents from the starting minute up to the end. At Lugogo MTN Basketball Arena, having suffered a humiliating defeat in their previous game against the UPDF Tomahawks, Kenya's Ulinzi Warriors made an impressive comeback when they met Burundi's Muzinga. Star scorer Eric Mutoro, who was in high spirits, managed to fetch 23 of the 80 points that Ulinzi scored against Muzinga's 54. Meanwhile, Rwanda registered another victory, having beaten Tanzania by 81 points to 65 in their second game of the competition. Rwanda's best scorer was Kazingufu Ali, who netted 18, while Tanzania's was Baraka Saidi, who fetched 19 points. Day 6 at Nambole was a match between Kenya and Tanzania. The defending champions, Ulinzi Stars, were held to a goalless draw by the hard-tackling Tanzania Defence Forces. In Mukono, it was a Kenya-Tanzania affair when they tussled it out in both netball and handball. In netball, the first quarter was a draw of 5 nets each. Second quarter, 12-15 in favor of Tanzania, and throughout those quarters, the game was well balanced. However, in the last 15 minutes of the game, goal shooter Nekesa Christine's efforts for Ulinzi netball saw Kenya stride higher to victory by not missing any shot in the net. The game ended with Tanzania bagging 27 and Kenya 31. In handball, the game ended with Tanzania scoring 21 while Kenya scored 24. Day 7 of the event was a cultural excursion day. On this day, all the EAC military games participants headed for the eastern town of Jinja to acquaint themselves with the tourism and economic potential of that part of the country. At Bidco factory, participants were briefed on the process of vegetable oil extraction right from the raw material and the benefits of the vegetable oil industry to both government and the local communities. As one of the biggest taxpayers in Uganda, Bidco produces cooking oil, jerrycans, soap, and detergents. The participants also visited Itanda Falls, where they enjoyed a good water scenery, rafting, and cultural dances from Nile entertainment groups. Day 8 was back to sports business with UPDF Simba FC taking on Rwanda's APR FC at Mandela National Stadium, Nambole. As the game progressed into second half, Robert Ominuk's calculated free kick in the 52nd minute lifted Simba's chances of winning the 9th edition of the EAC Military Football Tournament when he slotted it into the back of the net. This was Omunuk's third goal of the tournament, having scored against both Burundi and Tanzania. The RDF succumbed to pressure in the second half, although they remained physical and played long balls throughout the game. The game ended 1-0 in favor of Simba FC. At Uganda Christian University Mukono, UPDF netball team maintained their unbeaten record in their third game of the EAC 9th edition military games, as they triumphed over Burundi by netting 103 against 6. Goal shooter Wasagali Alicia, who was lady of the match, netted 80 nets out of 103 for UPDF netball team. In the other game played at the same venue, Kenya's Ulinzi netball team managed to win Rwanda's RDF netball team by 71 to 12 nets. In handball, played at the same venue, UPDF was defeated by Muzinga of Burundi by 30 goals to 27, while Ulinzi of KDF defeated RDF of Rwanda by 35 to 32. At Lugogo MTN Arena, 2 matches were played where Rwanda defeated Kenya by 67 to 54, while host Uganda were defeated by Burundi by 68 to 77 baskets. Day 9 of the tournament was the climax of competitive engagement between partner contingents in the field of handball and netball as the 2 games entered their final round. In handball, the first match ended with a win for Uganda, having bagged 32 goals against 21 for Tanzania. In the other game, Rwanda beat Burundi 36 to 27. In netball, Tanzania was narrowly defeated by host Uganda 32 to 31, while Burundi miserably lost to Rwanda 14 to 44. To crown the netball and handball competitions, medals were awarded to respective teams according to their performance. In netball, the hosts Uganda bagged the first position, having scored 8 points. Kenya came second with 6 points, while Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi followed respectively with 4, 2, and 0 points. In handball, Rwanda took the first position with 6 points, while Uganda came second with 4 points. Tanzania, Kenya, and Burundi followed respectively. In basketball, the closing games were Burundi versus Rwanda and Uganda versus Tanzania. In the first match, Burundi managed to defeat Rwanda by 69 to 61. In the next match, Uganda beat Tanzania 75-73. In basketball tournament, Rwanda emerged winners of the gold medal, having won all but one of its games against Burundi and securing 7 points. They were followed by Kenya, which garnered 6 points to win the silver medal. Uganda won a bronze with 6 points. Burundi came fourth with 6 points, and Tanzania was in the fifth position with 5 points. Day 10 of the event was a VIP cultural excursion opportunity where VIPs enjoyed a 3-hour journey from Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort Hotel to Ngamba Island Chimpanzee Sanctuary on Lake Victoria. The VIPs, who included the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense of Burundi, Brigadier General Ildefonse Habarurema, Deputy Chief of Defense Forces of the Tanzania People's Defense Forces, Major General Augustine Laswai, Major General Fabian Nzisabira, the Deputy Chief of Defense Forces of Burundi, National Defense Forces, Defense Liaison Officers at the EAC Secretariat, heads of delegation for the 9th edition of the EAC Military Games and Culture events, and UPDF Army Chiefs, among others. The group was led by the UPDF Chief of Defense Forces, General Edward Katumba Wamala. Established in 1998, the 100-acre sanctuary run by Chimpanzee Sanctuary and Wildlife Trust, a non-governmental organization, is home to 48 chimpanzees that were rescued from different places, including South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The guests were taken through a guided tour of the sanctuary by the executive director of the trust, Lily Ajarova. They were thrilled by the different behaviors of the chimpanzees while feeding, annoyed, happy, and sick. They also witnessed a surgical procedure on one of the sick chimpanzees by the sanctuary veterinary officer and programs director, Dr. Joshua Rugando. The guests also had an opportunity to buy souvenirs about the sanctuary and the chimps. And finally, Day 11, the 26th of August 2015, was a climax of the 9th edition of the East African Community Military Games and Cultural Event. The closing ceremony preceded a football match between Uganda and Kenya that ended in a goalless draw. After the football match, all the 5 participating teams in a parade formation assembled for the award of the trophies.
Team managers, get the teams ready.
In the football, Rwanda's APR emerged gold winners of the soccer tournament with 7 points, taking home the football trophy. Although Kenya and Uganda tied at 6 points each, Kenya took silver medal on a goal difference rule as Uganda settled for a bronze. In basketball, the gold went to Rwanda, silver to Kenya, and bronze to Uganda. In handball, Rwanda emerged winners of the gold medal, while Uganda came second, taking silver. Tanzania settled for a bronze. In netball, Uganda emerged the gold winners. Kenya bagged a silver medal and Tanzania bronze. In cross-country, Kenya bagged gold medal for both men and women races, followed by Uganda and Rwanda, respectively. And finally, the handing over of the mantle of hosting the next event to Rwandan Chief of Defense Staff General Patrick Nyamvumba brought Kampala's 11 days of action-packed sports season to a conclusion.
Minister, I wish to thank you and your team for the excellent work you have done in hosting this important event. I think you have set the bar very high. These events become better and better every year, and therefore the next partner state has a high bar to cross when they host the events.
The spirit of teamwork and solidarity that has brought us together today must be kept burning. As we build closer ties in kinship and progress together as a region, we should maintain that closeness.
There is no doubt that the military have made great strides in cooperation. The spirit, the core, the fraternity and friendship amongst the militaries of East Africa are remarkable. Bwana Secretary General, if all other sectors of the East African community could borrow a leaf from the military and the defense sector, we would all realize the East African community we desire and we deserve sooner than later.
East Africa Military Games. Michezo ya majeshi, michezo ya majeshi, michezo ya majeshi, michezo ya majeshi. Leo siku michezo ya majeshi Afrika Mashariki yote tujumuike kwa furaha siku hii kujenga urafiki mwema. Jamii yote sasa na tuungane kudumisha michezo utamaduni hasio mwema na tujenge urafiki baina ya majeshi. Jamii moja lengo letu moja kupitia michezo ya majeshi utamaduni wa nchi za kwetu. ya majeshi, michezo ya majeshi, michezo ya majeshi.
I congratulate all of you for taking part in these games. Hongera. Games are for training the body, the mind, and the character, all the three. It is a multidimensional preparation. And it's very good that the soldiers of East Africa are engaged in these games. But more importantly than the games, sababu behind the integration. The reasons are prosperity for our people and security for them, and a bigger voice in the world. These are the three words.
And clap as the game is being started. There, this is with us again. Congratulations, East Africa.